What up, YouTube? It's your boy G YouTube back at it again with another video for you. So, as many of y'all have heard, LaMarcus Aldridge is now announced his retirement from the NBA. And this came after Saturday night's game coming from Los Angeles against the Lakers. He started feeling something up with his heart and it got progressively worse. So he alerted the team about it and he got sent to the hospital and they found that he had an irregular heartbeat. So for those of you that don't know what an irregular heartbeat is, it sounds exactly, how it sounds pretty much. Your heart isn't pumping how it's supposed to. It's either pumping too fast, pumping too slow, or just with an irregular rhythm. And that can lead to a slew of other issues. If your heart's not working correctly in that, in getting the blood to where it needs to circulate to. So that's a scary issue to be going through. And I don't know too much about what it can cause, what it can do to your body, having an irregular heartbeat, things like that. But I do know that it's a very uncomfortable situation to be in, and the way your body feels from that is just overall not good. And that's obviously a very tough decision to make and a tough bullet to bite, mid-season after coming from San Antonio, signing with the Nets, presumably to add a ring to a pretty solid NBA career that LaMarcus Aldridge has had. He's been an all-star 6 to 7 times, and just throughout his career, he's improved upon his game to stay, relevant throughout the NBA. And the game, how it's changed since he first entered the NBA to where it is now. He adjusted his game to improve his three-point shooting, even though he was never known for his defense, and that was one of the things that probably criticized about that signing. But from that signing, he definitely provided a lot of offensive spark for the Nets, and particularly even with the starters, but coming from their second unit as well, where he would get mixed in there. You would see a lot of that, even though he only played 9 games with the Nets so far this season, and he's no longer going to play anymore since he's announced his retirement. That's going to be a big blow for them going forward, because the big man spot is definitely the weakness of this Nets team, just not having any defensive presence or just any consistent big man play coming from there. Even though you got Claxton and DeAndre Jordan, those guys are just, Claxton's on the come up, but he's not there yet. He's got potential. Same thing, not the same thing with DeAndre Jordan. He's a little washed. And that's just the reality of it. But it's kind of sad to see. He's had a solid NBA career. Wish nothing but the best for him. I've seen some slander on Twitter. Screw Twitter, man. But he's had a solid NBA career. Wish nothing but the best for him. It's a very hard bullet to bite, really. In the middle of a season like this, and just dealing with health problems like that. I don't blame him for making that decision. Like, I don't know if any of y'all watch football or other sports, but Andrew Luck retired from the NFL because of just having to constantly recover from injuries after injury after injury. And rehab is no joke. It's not just, okay, if I'm rehabbing from an injury or from a health problem, there's a lot of things that go into it that are very draining for a player, and especially when it deals with your body, because what you do to your body now will affect you not just in the next couple of years, but for the rest of your life. So, shouts out to him for making that tough decision, and wishing him nothing but the best. And from there on, let's look at the rest of the stuff that's happened around the NBA. So Jamal Murray is now out for the rest of the season with an ACL tear, and that's a big blow to Denver, man. That's a devastating blow to Denver. Even though Nikola Jokic is a front runner for the MVP right now, that team is gonna struggle without having Murray, their main playmaker, one of their top scorers, not there with them for this playoff push. They'll still make the playoffs, but how deep in the playoffs they'll go now, I'm not sure. My answer is gonna be maybe first round. Maybe they'll squeak by into the second round depending on who they play in the first round. But yeah, man, it was a gruesome injury. Like, you've seen the likes of that before with Derrick Rose and Klay Thompson going up for a layup. It's just not something you like to see. So that was pretty devastating. Even though Steph Curry dropped 52, 53 points that game, something like that. But yeah, that's tough. That's tough for them. That's a tough for all you Denver fans out there, and just basketball fans in general too. Because I personally like to see stars, thrive. I think Jamal Murray has a bright future ahead of him, and wish him a speedy recovery. So moving on, Zach Lavine is now going to be out for the next several games. So he's probably going to be out for the next 2 weeks, presumably, due to COVID protocols. And that's pretty crazy. So right now, as it stands, the Bulls are 22-32 and sit at the 10th seed. And even with Zach Lavine playing, they are 3-7 in their last 10, and they lost their last 4 games in a row. So that's tough. That's tough. And they're going to have to go forward and try to keep their 10th spot with the Toronto Raptors and the Washington Wizards hot on their heels. I think they're like only a game back from them for the 10th seed to get into the playoff 7-8 seed playoffs. Yeah, so without Zach Lavine, it's gonna be tough to keep that ground for a play into the possible playoffs for that possible ticket. And we'll see how Nikola Vucevic steps up to the plate in the absence of Zach Lavine. Now that he's in Chicago, he's gonna have to step it up big time and just to make it his team. With everybody that they have going over there, nobody's been really playing well. Kobe White had one of the worst games that I've ever seen from him this season. I think it was the Memphis game, if I'm not mistaken. He just looked really bad. He played like 30 minutes, something like that, or give or take 30 minutes, and he just looked real bad out there on the floor. In this past stretch of games, he hasn't looked the greatest either. I mean, he's probably gotten around like 10 points, but in the games before that, but he just has not looked good, and this Bulls team in general just has not looked good. So if they're trying to secure their spot into the playoffs, it's not looking good for them unless Nikola Vucevic turns it around. So we'll see if he goes into beast mode, heading into these next few games without their star Zach Lavine. So as far as news goes, I think that's pretty much it. But there was a lot of good games yesterday in the NBA, starting off with that 76ers Nets game. The Sixers, they topped the Nets by 6 points, but that game was pretty close for the most part. And James Harden didn't play, and nor did Kevin Durant. And I don't think Blake Griffin played either, and obviously not LaMarcus Aldridge, and he won't be playing going forward. But that was a pretty good game, even though the Sixers won. In my head, the Nets won that game because with no Durant and with no Harden, and Kyrie didn't even play the final stretch of the fourth quarter either. Granted, he dropped 37, but that last stretch of the fourth quarter, they pretty much had. I don't even think Joe Harris was in, and they gave him a run for their money. So that, in my eyes, with the 76ers being at full strength, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, Ben Simmons, all them playing, they only won by 6 points, and it was close. It wasn't like one of those 6 points where, all right, they scored at the end to make it close. It was close. So that was a good win for the Nets. The Knicks also had a good win against the Pelicans. Julius Randle? He's been playing bad ever since he took out the braids. He put the braids back in, dropped 32 points on I don't think it was great efficiency. I think he shot like 40-something%, but he still dropped 32. He was giving Zion buckets at the end. Alec Burks doing his thing. RJ Barrett hasn't been playing well, coincidentally, since he shaved his head. But we're not going to talk about that. That's just superstition. He didn't play well, but the Knicks got a good win over the Pelicans to stay in the 8th seed. And Milwaukee, they just pummeled over Minnesota with no Karl Anthony Towns. And there was no Giannis for this game either, but you would still expect Milwaukee to just run through Minnesota the way that they did last night. Warriors just absolutely destroyed the Thunder, almost dropped a 40 clip on them, beat them by 38 points, and Steph Curry dropped like 42. Steph Curry's been on fire lately, and he's really trying to bring Golden State up into up into the playoff race right now. I think they're sitting at the 9th seed, something like that, and they're not too far off from overtaking Memphis and taking that 8th seed spot. So, there'll be less games for them in the playoff tournament for the 7 and 8 seed. Less games for them to win if they're the 9th, 10th versus the 7 or 8th seed when it comes down to the tournament. Yeah, but Steph Curry's been on a tear. He's not trying to let his team miss the playoffs right now. And it doesn't seem like if he keeps playing the way he's playing right now, doesn't look like they're going to miss it either, to be honest. And team load management over here, that is the Los Angeles Clippers. No Kawhi Leonard for this game. No PG-13 for this game. They just barely squeaked by the Giant Slayers that are the Detroit Pistons. Only beat them by 2 points. Nothing too interesting about this game really is Detroit, even though it would have been nice to see them beat the Clippers at full strength. That's always fun to see. Like, for whatever reason, Detroit just loves beating good teams. Don't know why. I think they have more than half of their wins. I think probably like 10 of their 16 wins come against like top 4 seeds in each conference, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But nothing special about that game. The Magic, they passed by the Bulls. Obviously, the Bulls without Zach LaVine. Vucevic has got to step it up now, losing to his old team. Pacers swept by the Rockets. And that Mavericks game, though. I am so mad I missed that game. I was too worried about, big boy stuff and trying to decide on what I'm going to do for my future regarding graduate school to watch this Memphis-Dallas game. And it was crazy. I was watching the first half. It was back and forth. But Luka did his thing at the end. Wow. That's a crazy shot, to be honest. That was a ridiculous shot. Probably gonna show a clip of it here, but that was really crazy. And I wish I would have gotten to see the end of that game. Would have enjoyed it. I was watching it, but didn't finish it. So, Dallas continuing their hot streak and trying to cement themselves into the playoffs. Luka, I would like to see him appear as an MVP candidate, but I just don't think that the Mavericks have a good enough record, or will finish with a good enough record for Luka to, realistically have a chance at winning the MVP race, which I think at this point in time is pretty wide open. But I'll make a video on that one and hold off my thoughts on who I think the MVP is right now. Because since I made that James Harden video, it has shifted a little bit. Not too much, but just a bit. And yeah, but I just don't think they're going to finish high enough in the rankings for him to have a legitimate chance at taking the MVP trophy at the end of the year. He's having a statistically dominant season. He's like top 10 in scoring, top 10 in assists, one of the top in player efficiency rating. In rebounding, I think he's up there too. He's having a great season, and for it being his 3rd season, he's got a narrative going around him of what you need. Third season in the league, putting up these type of crazy numbers, like 28 points a game, almost 29. Like, this man is the future of the league. He's a baller, but unfortunately, I just don't think that's going to realistically happen for him right now. And as far as the rest of the games, the Nuggets beat the Heat 123-106. Obviously, no Jamal Murray. He's done for the season with an ACL tear. Very unfortunate, man. But it is what it is. And the Wizards, they've been on a little hot streak. Won like 4 of their last 5 games. They beat the Kings 123-111. And the Wizards, even though they started off, really rough this this past NBA season. At the beginning of the season, they started off real rough, but they're starting to put things together. And I did say that I did foresee them putting things together in the future, because having Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, no matter who else you have on that team, they're gonna find a way to put something together, and they're starting to make a small push for the 10th, 9th seed right now. Because as it stands, they are only one game behind the Bulls for the 10th seed. And, that's the only realistic chance that they have at getting into the playoffs. But one game is still only one game. They're ways away behind the Pacers, which who hold the 9th seed, they're like, probably like 6 games back. That's probably unfeasible to make up all that room with the amount of games that they do have left. And yeah, and the way that the Pacers are playing, I think they'll keep their current pace and probably finish around that seed or better. And yeah, but don't sleep on the Wizards. That's really all I have for y'all today, man. So if you enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe, put on that notification bell so that you get a notification whenever I post my next video. And yeah, if you leave a comment, tell me what you think about this current NBA news, LaMarcus Aldridge retiring, injuries and COVID protocols to these teams, what you think about the playoff race upcoming. There's only a month left of the season, so we'll see how many of those things shake up. And that's really all I got. So until my next video, I'm out.